Dear friends, in the year 1974, the archaeologists in China accidentally found over 6,000 painted clay statues of horses and soldiers. This may be a surprise to the archaeologists, and the army was ordered to produce this number of soldiers and horses by then Emperor Qin to protect him from all the enemies even after his death. He was also responsible to build the Great China Wall. Since the beginning of time, the human heart has always resisted the idea of death to be the end of human life. It has dreamed of eternal life. Some deep down instinct tells us that this life of sorrow and troubles is not the end, but it's a beginning of new state of life. What the instinct of our human heart tells us is the same thing that Jesus is telling us in today's gospel. He is telling us that there is something more to come because we are made for another life. In John chapter 6, verse 40, the Lord tells us, He is the source of that very eternal life. He says, This is the will of my Father, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in Him may have eternal life. But our understanding of eternal life does not stop here. What the human heart tells us and what Jesus tells us is the same thing that the modern science is also telling us. When the famous astrophysicist Werner von Braun died in 1977, the Time magazine called him the 20th century Columbus. The reason was, more than any other scientist on Earth, von Braun deserves the credit for starting our space program and putting man on the moon. Before he died, von Braun made a statement that surprised the public and even the scientific world. He wrote, Many people seem to think that science has somehow made religious ideas untimely or old-fashioned. But I think science has a real surprise for skeptics. Science tells us that nothing in nature, not even the tiniest particle, can disappear without a trace. Nature does not know extinction. All it knows is transformation. He then continues to explain why the human soul is eternal. He writes, Now, if God applied the same fundamental principle to the most minute and insignificant parts of His universe, doesn't it make sense to assume that He applied it also to the human soul? I think it does. And everything science has taught us and continues to teach me strengthens my belief in the continuity of our spiritual existence even after death. Often, science and religion are shown to be opposite to each other. According to Paul Davies, a British scientist, the problem with this separation is that all science proceeds on the assumption or our belief that nature is ordered in a rational and intelligible way. So this shows science and religion are not opposite, they are complementary. And so what the human heart has always taught and what Jesus taught us, the modern science is also telling us because we are made for eternal life. If God's plan for us is to live forever, then we ought to live as Jesus has taught us, to love as He has loved us, so as to attain that eternal life He has promised. Finally, the Lord tells us in today's gospel, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. I gave them eternal life and they shall never perish." There are so many things in this world that are ready to snatch us from the hand of God. There are hundreds of noises today distracting us or calling us away from Christ. But Jesus, our Good Shepherd, walks in front of us. He is in our midst and He is behind us to protect us. Following Jesus always requires faith and obedience on our part, even when the path seems to be uncertain. The Lord's voice comes to us through His church, the scriptures, and the sacraments He has established for us. In a world of many competing noises, the voice of the Good Shepherd is with us always. Now the question is whether we do listen to His voice. The eternal life that Jesus offers us is not simply ordinary human life without end, but it is a fullness of human existence, meaning God is the source of all existence. To find that fullness, we need to adapt Jesus' message to the ever-changing situation of our daily life. Therefore, dear friends, today's celebration calls us to renew our spirit of unity as a parish family and to reach out those who do not hear or listen to the voice of the Lord, so that we all can be one flock under one shepherd, Jesus Christ, the risen Lord.